So for our group 2, we are focusing on lists in our code. So for what our group decided to do is create a app that is a meal randomizer. So we provide the user four different types of meal sections, which first one is appetizer, entree, drinks, and dessert. And what basically this app does is the user gets to press the randomize button, and once it's pressed, it randomizes different type of appetizers, different types of entrees, different types of drinks, and different types of desserts. So you can see we have different types of food for and drinks for each one.
This is example 1 of our presentation. So the first thing we're doing is we're defining a list where we list out a bunch of desserts. And after that, we have an on event. So it runs a function when we click our randomize button. And then we're defining our function below, which sets the text of our dessert output to desserts with the random index of 0 to the dessert's length, list length -1.
So for the drink part of the drink part of the app, we have to create a list. So here, lines 1 through 3, we're defining the list and what the list contains, basically types of the drinks. So then we are also setting the variable drink to, we're not defining to a simple, to anything specific, but we're just setting it as a variable. So then when the randomize button is clicked, we're going to call the random drinks function. And then the random drink function basically is a for loop that basically goes through the drink list and randomly picks one. So here we have for I is equal to 0 and I is less than 10, which is the number of drinks that are in the list, and I plus plus. So go through the list. So we're setting the variable drink to drink list I, and then I is equal to a random number 0 through 10. So we are going to, the I chooses a random drink in the list, and then we will set the property drink output in text to the variable drink. So it will display a random number whenever the randomize button is clicked. And of course, there are easier ways to do this for this section of the drink list, but this is just one of the ways to do it.
The first step in randomly selecting an element from a list is to create the list. I created the variable appetizers, which stores 10 strings in a list. Next, to program the randomization, I used an onEvent function. Inside the function, the appetizer output text is set to a random element from the list. This is done by placing a random number generator with bounds of 0 and the length of the list -1 as the index. As you can see, the output is randomized upon clicking the button.
So the example I made was entrees for this meal randomizer app. I first created a list called entrees, and it has 10 elements that are in the list of just entrees I wanted to add. I also created a variable called entree, and when this variable is used in the function below, and in this function I created a for loop. So variable I is equal to 0, and if I is less than 10, then it goes up by 1. And I made the variable entree equal to the list, and I made I equal to a random number between 1 through 10, so the 1 through 10 meaning all these different elements. And when the randomize button is clicked, it then chooses one of these elements that are listed above. So for example, if I randomize, it'll choose one of them, and if I hit it again, it'll choose something else.